Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at the Holy Grail trade setup, but look on a FOREX chart on a slightly longer time frame. And here's a great example that's unfolding as we speak, or as I'm recording this video, on the EURGBP on an hourly chart. And it's this TS3 sell setup here. Initially you can see that this TS3 sell is against the blue SDF, so standard traders would not be able to take this, but the Holy Grail trade setup is a specific example that advanced MTPredictor users can do. So I just want to step through the process here to show you the things that you need to look at. So first and foremost we need to look at the higher time frame chart. Now for this we normally look at a time frame that's 3 to 5 times greater than the time frame we're trading off. So as this is an hourly chart, what I'll do is I'll go up to the 4 hourly chart to have a look at the large degree time frame. Whoops, just clear that off because that's my analysis from earlier. So I just want to show you the position going into this particular trade setup. So if I go back a little bit to about here, you can see that we have the market moving up like this. Now normally we can look at DP support and resistance, or we can also look for any other pattern that indicates that we're at an important high or low. So for this example, let's have a look at the Elliott wave patterns. Again, that's dead easy. Right mouse click over the high, come down, select Elliott wave intermediate, and can you see how here at this particular high we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here this particular market, which is the EURGBP FOREX chart on the 4 hourly chart, was making a wave 5 high right at the minimum wave 5 WPT. We normally suggest that the initial target will be the wave 4 of the the DP of the prior wave 4. So we're anticipating that if this is indeed a wave 5 high on the 4 hourly chart, we're anticipating a decline down into this particular area here. So now let's go down to the 3-minute chart. Sorry, not the 3-minute chart, I mean the hourly chart. So I'm doing this on an hourly chart here. And if we go back a bit to around about here, just want to show you that this high here was the wave 5 high on the 4 hourly chart. Remember that? So this we knew was an important high. And that's what's the sets this Holy Grail trade setup, is that first and foremost we need to identify an important high or low, and as you've seen we do this by going to the higher time frame. So here's the important high. We then look for the initial move, in this case it's initial decline off that high. This will be considered a wave 1 in Elliott wave terms. We then look for an ABC correction, which unfolded here into our automatic TS3 setup. This in Elliott wave terms would be considered a wave 2 or B. And if we look at the WPT module, we can place our wave 2 or B WPT on this level here, there and there, and you can see that's the area where a wave 2 is likely to move, that is likely to end. So this is what sets the Holy Grail trade setup. First and foremost, larger degree support and resistance. That comes off the higher time frame. Initial move down, wave 1, initial move up, wave 2. We put the analysis here on our standard trade setup, and we can see we have our WPT targets on here. Now because we're anticipating this is a wave 2, we're anticipating that a wave 3 will follow. In other words, this is going to be a 1, 2, wave 3 type pattern. So we don't use our first target here, we use our our typical wave 3 WPT, which is down here. And as you can see, this is actually slightly beyond our hourly decision point that we had on our chart earlier from our hourly chart. So I'll just take that off because that's confusing things. So this is the setup. Major high, initial move down, wave 1, initial correction into a wave 2 that subdivides into an ABC. That's our TS3 setup. Then our target is the typical wave 3 WPT. And as you can see, this is a lovely trade that's unfolding at the moment, and you can see that the EURGBP has declined brilliantly and has now just reached our typical wave 3 WPT. So now you have a choice. You either can look to bank a profit of plus 6.7R. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small and under control, where we vary the number of lots, shares or contracts to keep our risk constant and small. Our profits are then a function of our initial risk. So at this particular point in time, the profit would be approximately 6.7 times greater than the initial risk. But here you can see we've actually just reached our first target. So now you have a choice. You can say, well, I want to bank 6.7R profit, which is really, really nice. So you can put that into the bank and say thank you. Or you can see our STF is strong, so you could look to run this trade further using our ATR stop, which is currently here at the moment. So now you, the trader, can make that decision. But really, I wanted just to cover the initial setup of the Holy Grail trade in this particular video, where if we go through again just very quickly, what we first and foremost do is we look to the higher time frame. In this case, we went to the 4-hourly chart. We noticed there was a lovely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with this high coming in at the minimum wave 5 WPT. That set up the major high on this market, or the important high. We then came back to the hourly chart. That was the major high. We then looked for the initial decline off that. We then looked for the initial correction to unfold as an A, B, C, which is what it did into our typical wave 3 or our TS3 automatic trade setup. We then put our analysis on. We then changed our initial target from our minimum wave C to our typical wave 3 because we're anticipating this is a wave 2 correction. So after a wave 2, in Elliott wave terms, you're anticipating a strong wave 3 type decline. And as you can see, that's exactly what's unfolded. And these are my favorite trade setups, and the reason is because the typical wave 3 WP, or the typical wave 3, is the strongest and longest move in any completed Elliott wave sequence. It represents the largest profit potential for the smallest initial risk. So to be able to get in right as the wave 2 is ending, which is here, to then be able to trade the strong wave 3 is the best profit to initial risk potential trade that I know of. And that's why this is my favorite trade setup. And as you can see, this is a live chart unfolding here with live data, and here the EURGBP has just reached our initial target where approximately 6.7R profit is available. So a great example of a Holy Grail trade setup on a Forex chart, but this time using the hourly and 4-hourly time frames.